Hi, this is Lot 76 Cars. My name is Simon and welcome to the Italian car day, Auto Italia at Brooklands. There's some fantastic cars already arriving. Let's take a walk around, have a look at some of them and also have a chat with some of the owners and find out more. So this 680 kilos, yeah, you heard that right, of Italian loveliness is an Innocenti Mini. So it's designed with mini mechanicals. The owner's going to have a chat with us a little bit later. Innocenti was actually owned by British Leyland, so British Leyland had a bit of a checkered history in the 70s. Innocenti's was even worse, so British Leyland actually bought them out, and I think until they were eventually purchased by Tomaso. So let's just take a look around this car. Slab sided, and look, you can see the ownership. It's even got the BL badges on, and it's a 120L. Relatively unusual in the UK, was not a UK car but has in actual fact been converted to right hand drive, and the owner tells me it goes a bit and it's going on a track day tomorrow. So I'm going to talk to Oz about this fabulous Innocenti. It's not Autobianchi, I've already made that mistake, so I won't be doing that again. Oz, tell us a bit more about this particular car, please.
It's Innocenti Bertone Mini, 1979. They were designed early 70s, released in 74, built to 82. This is a 120L, which is probably the rarest of a rare car. It's all mini, BMC Mini running gear, mini 1275 engine, rubber cone suspension, mini brakes and stuff like that. Innocenti built the mini-shaped Mini under licence, and then in the early 70s decided to design their own body shell to take all the mini mechanicals.
So this is what the Minis could have been?
Yeah, it predates the Metro by 6 years.
Wow.
But the interior package isn't as clever as the Mini. There's more room in the front, but there's actually less room in the back for rear seat passengers and stuff like that. So as a family car, it was more of a second car sort of run-around thing rather than a proper family car.
Fantastic. Thanks, Oz. Thank you. So I'm here with Dave Hill, who's going to tell us about this fabulous Fiat Coupe. So bear with us while we just have a walk around the car, and we'll find out a little bit more about it. So Dave, tell us a bit more about this car, because you know people think they know what it is probably, but I'm sure they don't.
Right.
So what is it?
It's a Fiat 130 Coupe,
Right.
built in 1972 by Pininfarina in Italy. There were only some 4,000 made in the 8 years of production. Yeah, it's powered by a 3.2 V6 Lampredi engine. Aurelio Lampredi was a noted Ferrari engine designer. It's the last big Fiat built. This particular car was owned by Lord Peter Carrington, Foreign Secretary during the Falklands crisis.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's incredible.
Yeah.
He had some good taste, didn't he? This is
did.
a left field choice, isn't it?
Yeah. At the time, the most expensive executive car you could buy, mainstream executive car in the UK, was the Jaguar XJ12.
Right.
That was about £2,800.
Wow.
This was 5,400.
Wow.
That's the reason they didn't sell very many.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Now the black tailgate on this car can mean only one thing. It's what we know as a Lancia Y10. It's got the famed Fiat fire engine in, but in actual fact it's not a Lancia at all. It's an Autobianchi, and it was actually marketed under the Lancia brand. I think it's the last car to carry the Autobianchi name. It's a really sort of cut off, truncated little car, really rare to see them now. So this, as many of you probably know, is an Alfa Romeo Montreal, but why does an Italian car, an Alfa Romeo, carry a Canadian name? Well, for the 1967 World Show in Montreal, or World Expo in Montreal, the organisers wanted a sort of concept type car, and I think they commissioned Alfa Romeo to build a couple of them. It was designed by Bertone, and probably what you'll notice here is it's actually got echoes of Miura. That's right, it's got some features that were used on the Miura. If you look at those that rear treatment, let's just take a look there. Try not to trip over anybody here. So you can see some of the Miura influence, and also it's got these vents. Now those vents are allegedly, I believe they're non-functional vents, but they were used in a concept car also revealed by Bertone. If I can find a picture, I'll insert it into the video, and you can see the differences. So no design is completely new, is it? No idea is completely new. And that's the interior. Now this one has got a fantastic interior, beige interior, wooden rimmed or wooden effect rimmed steering wheel. What a lovely car, and what a great story behind that car as well. You know, so I'm going to talk to the owner Tony about this car. He's going to tell us a little bit about the history and how he came to get it, and maybe where he's been with it and what he's done.
Yes, well, I only bought it last year, but I bought it off a chap and he'd had it for 30 years, and he looked after it. And yeah, this car spent some of its life in Australia because it was owned by someone that worked for Qantas, and when they got posted to Sydney, it was shipped off to Australia, and it lived there for quite a few years, and that's probably why it survived, because it had better climate.
It's a UK car originally.
It's originally a UK car, yeah.
Wow, one of a few sold in the UK.
Yes,
what,
one
handfuls,
of a few.
really.
Yes, I don't know how many, but just a few. Yes.
Excellent. Have you been far with it? You've got big plans with it?
Not yet, but I'm planning on, you know, maybe going to Italy one day and that sort of thing. You know, that'll be lovely.
Stretch its legs.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony. Thank you very much. So back in 1987, the left field executive choice would have been one of these Lancia Teamer IE turbos. You could have had a Granada, you could have had a Mercedes E-Class, and probably would have paid similar prices. But this car, which shares many of its components, certainly the platform with the Saab 9000 you'll recognise, and also the Alfa 164, they were pretty rare back in the day, and pretty much they're even rarer now, so it's great to see one of these here today. So these are Lancia Beta Monte Carlos, later known as Lancia Monte Carlos, or Scorpions in the US, a small, relatively small volume sports car produced by Lancia. I say part of that Beta family, although obviously not having a great deal of resemblance. The Type 137, like these, donated its centre section to the 037 homologation only rally car. So, you know, the cars look familiar, some of the styling looks familiar with the 037, but apart from the central tub, that's about it. They look really pretty. So this really is an Autobianchi. I think it's the A112. Now this was designed, believe it or not, in the late 60s. I think released in 1969. Oh, this car is an R plate, so what, 77? Left-hand drive car. I don't think they were officially sold in the UK. Eventually Autobianchi was absorbed into the Fiat empire, and as you'll see in another clip on the video, the last vehicle they actually produced was the Y10, which was marketed under the Lancia name. We'll try and get a quick look inside if we can. I don't know the owner's about, but it's a proper four-seater anyway. And it's got that, can you see that lip at the back? It's got, I don't know, maybe it's me, it's got echoes of Maxi. I don't know, maybe I've been out in the sun too long today. Let me know what you think in the comments. So this looks like a Fiat 750 Coupe. From the badging on the side, it looks like it might have been one of the versions styled by Vignale. I'm not sure. I'll try and clarify that one. Looks like it's a 64 car. It's a cute little car, isn't it? Love the coupe styling. It does look like you can get 4 people in there with a bit of a squeeze. It's difficult to get the scale across to people unless you see it at the side of the Autobianchi. It's not a big car at all, and neither is the Autobianchi. Now, from a time when Alfa was pretty pressed in terms of funding new cars, is this Alfa 75 to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Alfa Romeo, but some of the parts were carry forward. So you notice this strip along the side which goes along the doors. Pretty much on the doors, that is to disguise that the doors were carried forward from the Giulietta, apparently. So the strip goes right the way down the length of the car. It's actually quite a characteristic these days, but interesting how finding a cost-effective solution's made the car look the way it does. So this is a 1989 Fiat Uno Turbo, a Mark 1 but Phase 2 car. It has been subtly modified, and you can see that what has been engineered into it is a Garrett GT25 turbocharger, a ceramic tubular manifold, Omex engine management, water to air charge cooled, a twin factory air conversion, launch followers, coilovers, and the list goes on. What a fabulous, fabulous car, isn't it? I mean, to say that car is fast is probably the understatement of the day. So we're going to talk to Sam about this Punto HGT, and nobody knows more about these cars than the owners. So we're going to get Sam to tell us a bit more and have just do a bit of a virtual walk around. Sam, tell us about this fantastic yellow loveliness.
Thank you. So yeah, it's a Fiat Punto HGT in the Abarth trim. It's got the 1.8 litre engine that you find in the Barchetta, 5-speed, the sparkle optional seats, finished in broom yellow, and yeah, love it to bits, happy motoring.
Excellent, thank you very much. So here's a Mark II Uno IE Turbo, but this one is a pre-facelifted car. I think it's a 1990, actually replaced by the Punto in 1994, so right at the end of the Uno's life. It's such a shame they didn't continue with the Uno nameplate, in my opinion, because so designed by Chris Bangle, who then went on to BMW. These Fiat Coupes, these are really pretty cars, in my opinion. I think they've stood the test of time. 5-cylinder engine, turbo and non-turbo cars, and I think they're starting to find their feet now. Now this is an ISO Revolta. A what, I hear you cry? An ISO Revolta. So this company made its money in domestic appliances, then obviously to motorise Italy after World War II, turned its efforts to motorcycles, then eventually to a bubble car design, the Isetta, which was sold to BMW and made a huge amounts of money under license, and then this. So this particular car, like the series of ISO Revoltas and the Griffos, the better known cars, fitted with large American engines, never sold in huge numbers, and this is a race car. So let's just take a look under the bonnet. I think it's had some success. Just a bit of a squeeze there. It's a great story behind these cars, and if you've got one of these, you know that you are in a pretty exclusive club, aren't you? Contrast this 1977 Lamborghini Urraco, styled by Bertone, by I think it's a Murcielago next to it. You know, arguably I have to say that I think the Urraco is winning my vote, I must admit. Let's try and have a look inside. It's got the removable roof, best of both worlds here. We can have a good look inside the car. That open gate gear change, and you can see the styling cues here. You see how they've I guess there's some connection there with some of the cars of the period. The Countach, for instance, at the back end of the car. I do like incredibly capable supercars, Aventadors, Gallardo Lamborghinis. There are just so many of them. I think, to be honest with you, whilst they are ultimately very capable, my eye is roving towards some Fiats I can see in the distance, so bear with us if I don't go through these in too much detail. Now, some of you might recognise this car. It is exactly the one that Matt tested on Furious Driving. It's the Seat Marbella camper. We'll try and have a chat with somebody about this one. A fantastic car. So I'm going to talk to Vernon about this fabulous camper. It's been doing the rounds. You've seen it on Furious Driving. Vernon, tell us about it, please, because it's not the sort of thing that many of us would see back in the day, but we certainly don't see one now.
No, well, there's only about 3, I think, left in the country.
Wow.
So, yeah, very rare sight.
So,
yeah.
How did you come to buy it? Obviously, going out looking for one, you'd have a long wait to try and find one, but...
It found me. It was a guy that I met at a car show, and then 12 months later he phoned me up and asked me if I wanted to buy it, because he couldn't get it through the MOT.
Wow.
So,
and
yeah.
I've seen your workshop, you're quite keen. There's nothing phases you really, is there, in terms
Not with pandas, no.
No.
Some of the modern stuff I'd steer away from.
Excellent.
But yeah, no, pandas are no problem.
So got plans, do you actually go away and use it as well?
We've used it 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
There was quite a break because of COVID, obviously.
Ah, of course, yeah.
But no, we're hoping to use it this year a few more times.
And what's it like to sleep in, just out of interest?
It's fine, yeah, because you've got the whole area at the back here goes into a double bed.
Right.
So yeah, no, it's very comfortable.
Fantastic.
And we've got an awning that goes on the back, so that's another
Of course.
another 10 foot by 10 feet in a tent.
Well, you've got the right car for the day today.
Yeah.
And I'll be around later for the bacon sandwich and the tea. Is that all right?
Yeah, we'll get more stock in.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
Cheers, thank you. So there's a Fiat 100 horsepower there, which is a little skateboard. I've loved to have a go in one of those one of these days. So if anybody wants to trust me in a Fiat 100 horsepower, especially one with our Abarth badges, I'd appreciate it. Only recently out of production, the Panda, and next to it, one of its forebears, a Fiat Punto. When did you last see one of those? This is a 75. Helpfully, the owners left the window open, so in actual fact it's a 1994 75 ELX and believed to be the oldest Punto in the UK. Well, certainly I love those velour seats. Being on L plates, it is believed to be the earliest because the press launch was only in March 1994, so it could well be that we are seeing together one of the earliest Puntos in the UK. So this is a Fiat Tipo. I cannot even remember the last time I saw one of these. It's an M, so that would make it, I guess, a 1994 car. It's the 16 valve, which makes it even rarer. It looks like a UK car because it's right-hand drive. I can't imagine it's come from South Africa or somewhere like that. Love that interior, fantastic Abarth steering wheel there as well. That hooded instrument binnacle. Really, of its time, it's survived quite well inside, hasn't it? We'll take a look from the back, because to me the styling, this chunky styling, lights right on the corner styling of this Tipo are relatively standout features for me, and it is a 2 litre IE supplied by Mangaletzi, which I think was a Fiat dealer somewhere up in Cheshire. So proclaimed as the Fiat that was built by robots is this Fiat Strada, or Ritmo to those of you watching outside the UK. Pretty rare to see one of these full stop. This is a 105 TC. I presume that's twin carb or twin cam. I can't think off the top of my head. Love the wheels on it. Those two-tone wheels really stand out. Helpfully, the owners left this one open, so we'll have a quick look inside if they don't mind. Our bar steering wheel, hooded instrument, orange inscription on the instruments. It's got a non-factory sunroof there and a rear spoiler, and it looks like a genuine UK car registered in Gillingham in Kent. So you probably don't see a Fiat 500 that sounds too much like this one. Okay. And it's a very special car. We'll try and have a chat with this guy. So we're going to have a chat with Don about this shine retiring Fiat 500 with red wine on tap at 50 lira. Not sure whether that's a glass or a bottle full. Don, tell us a bit more about it, because it's quite a car, isn't it?
It is. It's well, it's a Fiat 500, obviously, which is Italian. The wine's Italian because it comes from Italy. The wine press is Italian, and we're Italian.
Perfect. Perfect combination. So pasta for lunch, Fiat 500, red wine, day sorted, yeah?
Yes,
Excellent.
of course.
How long have you had the car then? Because it obviously didn't come to you like this, I guess.
No, I've had it about 10 years, I suppose.
Wow.
It's probably only done about 1,000 miles in those 10 years. I don't use it an awful lot.
No, but 1,000 very enjoyable miles, I'm sure.
Wine-soaked miles.
Excellent. Have you taken it to Italy?
No, not yet.
Not yet. There's always a chance, then, isn't there? Really. Well,
hopefully we'll do a tour around Italy in it. Obviously, when I've refurbed the engine and everything around it, gearbox and tyres.
So here we've got a lovely little Fiat 126. Some of these have been modified with larger engines in. These were, probably as many of you know watching, built in Poland, I believe. I'm not sure if they were built outside Poland, in Italy as well, but certainly they were. You used to see a lot of these every time you visited Poland. So a few more Fiat 500s, this one a bit more shy and retiring. And we're going to walk down to this Giardinera. Is that right? Well, I'm probably killing the pronunciation. So Autobianchi produced these I'm not sure whether it was on behalf of Fiat, because Autobianchi became part of Fiat, whether it was issues on capacity in the Fiat factory, but it's an estate version, a very useful estate version of the 500. So we'll take a look at the back. That's where all the action is, so to speak. So we can see there that extra space that you've got, and helpfully I think this particular one, we can just poke our camera through the roof and we can have a bit of a look inside there. So this is a 1600 Fiat 124 Sport. It's a left-hand drive car. Looks like it's coming from another market, maybe Italy, I don't know. Look at those tiny, what are they, Campagnolo? Yeah, they are Campagnolo wheels. Wow, they're tiny, aren't they? They're 13-inch wheels. Wow. You probably got, you know, kids' bicycle wheels are bigger than that these days, aren't they? It's a lovely car. It's in quite good condition as well. I love that sort of rusty russet brown. And I think probably one of very few of these that I've seen here today. So no cheating here. What is this? I'll give you a clue. I saw it on an old episode of Shoestring. Yeah, I'm that sad. And I was so fascinated by what it was and couldn't work out what it was. I actually had to look it up to try and find it. It's a de Tomaso de Ville. So a full four-door supercar, must have been massively rare in the UK at that time. This one is a right-hand drive car, so I'm guessing it's a UK car. So this is a Lancia Beta Coupe, I think. I always get confused by the Beta family because you've got several designs that sort of appear to some extent unrelated. This is a late car. It's a Volume X car. Now, I can't make my mind up if this is turbocharged, supercharged, or both. I think it might have been supercharged, you know. Quite a rare car back in the day, even rarer now. Got a very appropriate number, 40 VXL. Absolutely glorious car, isn't it? I do like that. So this is a much later iteration of the Lancia Delta, one we didn't actually receive in the UK. It's a Lancia Delta HF Turbo, but it's much later, the much later car. This is privately imported. I think I might have seen this one on another YouTube channel. I do love that colour scheme. So this is a Strada 130 TC Evolution. Again, you know, we might see a few of these here today, but it's really good to see them. I have heard that they are absolutely fantastic to drive. In fact, far better than many of their period contemporaries. I don't know if that's true because I've never driven one. Maybe I will one day. But now this is a Lancia Gamma. There was the Gamma Coupe and the Gamma Bellina. They are pretty rare to see these. In fact, you see less Bellinas. They develop this frilliness due to rust, unfortunately. Some issues, I think, I don't know if it affected the coupes the same, but with the power steering takeoff from the engine being sort of driven unconventionally, I think from a camshaft or something weird like that, meant that they had a lot of reliability problems back in the day. I know there's one of these owned by Grand Thrift Auto, which he's hoping to get back on the road. So shout out to you, Grand Thrift Auto, if you're watching this. This is how yours should look, I suppose. What a great looking car, really distinctive styling. So amongst some of the rarer cars here today, rarer than any Ferraris, is this Fiat Tempra. Now I believe the Tempra, the saloon version of the Tipo, I think it was on that Tipo platform, was sold in relatively small numbers. You can see the relationship, I think, to the Tipo on the front styling there. Interesting feature at the back, it's one of the few cars that has a rear wiper, very useful rear wiper on a saloon car. What a great car. So I'm here with Barry, who's got this fantastic 695 Rivale. What's the 695 stand for? I've always wondered.
Back in the day it was a capacity thing, but now it just signifies that it's a special edition.
Right.
Because most 500 Abarths now are 595s.
There's actually, I'm surprised, it's my first time sat in one of these. I'm surprised actually how much room there is, and the sunroof gives you quite a bit of light, doesn't it?
I've always had some roofs, and this was, you know, just the one I wanted but could never afford when brand new. Right. And so that was one of the reasons, because it had the sunroof, because it's a black interior. So
tell me about these. What sort of power output have these got?
Around 180 brake.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's got on these, it's got a Garrett turbocharger, which they can be tuned up to over 200, 250 brake horsepower.
Wow.
Which in a small front wheel drive
Performance where legal is, what will it top out at or accelerate?
It will do, I think it's about 130.
Wow, 130 in a Fiat 500 base car. Tell me, this is a limited edition car. I've seen a few of them around here, not many, but it's limited to how many numbers, do you know?
Worldwide, it was in total, because they made two. They made the 175, I think it's about worldwide 3,000.
Okay, so relatively small numbers then. So this lovely little camper van, our second camper van today, is badged MCC Farina. It's Fiat, it's got Fiat on the badge. I'm not sure which one it is. We'll try and find out a little bit more. What a lovely little camper van that is. That's great, isn't it? So there's not much to dislike about the Fiat X19 mid-engine coupe, originally built by Fiat. This is a later car. You'll see that production continued, a bit like it did with the original Fiat Coupe, where Bertone continued to produce these vehicles and sell them, I believe, through the Fiat network. So absolutely glorious car, isn't it? Really nice car, really nice condition. Not many survive. It's got actually quite an attractive cloth interior rather than a leather interior, and recognisable Fiat switchgear as you would expect, and obviously, as we said, a mid-engined car. So sharing the same platform as the equivalent MX-5, and I think built in the Japanese MX-5 plant, but with Fiat-based engines, is this Abarth, now out of production. Actually, great little cars, to be honest with you. I'm not sure how these are priced against MX-5s. They're certainly a lot rarer than MX-5s, aren't they? Are they a future collector's item? Possibly. In the Stellantis days, I wonder whether they will actually produce anything like this ever again. So these are Fiat Barchettas, Barchetta being the Italian translation for little boat, built on a Punto platform, sold in the UK officially as well, but only ever sold in the UK in left-hand drive format. These are pretty rare cars these days, and I would have thought because of the left-hand drive being a bit of a barrier, customers probably went for the more conventional MX-5. You can see how that theme, the body colour theme, continues through the inside of the vehicle. A bit like the Fiat Coupe of the period as well, and I absolutely love those rear lights. It's a great design, and honestly, probably it must be a future classic. So this 62 Flaminia Coupe from Lancia, to me, proves they built some of the most beautiful designs of the period. There is absolutely not a single bad angle on that car. Wow, that looks incredible, doesn't it? So listen to that Dino 308 GT4. I think I might be going out for a demonstration run. Certainly sounds glorious, doesn't it? So built purely for competition purposes is this Lancia Stratos. This is a vacation. I'm shouting a bit because you get a bit noisy here, running an Alfa Romeo engine with a true Italian national flag carrier Alitalia livery. Doesn't that look great? One of the most successful rally cars of all time. So we've hardly touched the surface at Auto Italia. We've still got a bit more to go. This is the overflow parking. I think this is the Alfa Romeo Club. A lot of cars behind me to talk about. Let's try and catch it with a few owners where we can, while the other cars are going out on circuit. Absolutely great. What a glorious day. Keep watching, please. A beautiful Alfa Romeo Giulia SS. That looks like it's a 66, it's a D, and next to it, it looks like we've got a Giulietta Sprint. Yeah, we have, it's a Giulietta Sprint. I'm not sure what year that's from. It looks like it's pre-registration plated on that one. That's a pretty car, aren't they? Absolutely lovely looking cars. You can see that influence why Italians were just so good at designing these cars, can't you? Not a bad angle on that one either. Now I think the Alfa 33, which I'm sure directly replaced the Sud, was actually a reasonable commercial success for Alfa Romeo. The styling was well accepted, there was a wagon version. I like how that tail kicks up towards the rear. You can see that here the swage line kicks up there. Again, pretty rare to see one of these days at all, isn't it really? I think, from memory, I've seen this car at a previous shot. I think this is a one owner from new car as well. So I'm with Gordon today, who's going to tell me about this 105 series Alfa. I've seen things like the step nose car and other ones, but don't really know much about the 105 series. Can you tell me about the 105 and about this car in particular, please?
This is a 1971 GT Junior 1300.
Right.
I've owned this car now 33 years this year.
Wow, okay, yeah. You're not inside out.
Yeah, it was a one lady owner car, originally from Italy. She bought it over in 1978, and I bought it, I saw the advert in the Alfa Romeo Owners Club, and it was down at a dealership down there, and I gave £1,700 for it. But
wow.
I've spent a lot of money over the years.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But yeah, it's 1971, so it's over 50 years old now.
So the 105 series, I mean, obviously it had quite a long product life, didn't it? Relatively long life.
Well, I think I'm right in saying this. I think it's the 60th anniversary this year, because the step fronts first started in '63.
Wow.
I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that, but so they've been going a while.
Wow, actually a fair bit of room. I mean, obviously, I'm quite surprised you probably get 4 people in.
Yeah.
With ease in the car as well.
Yeah.
What's it like to drive? What sort of fires you up about this car when you get back into it? It's been off the road for winter. What motivates you? You're not really.
Well, the sound.
Yeah.
The pull on it. I mean, being a left-hand driver, I've got to be a bit careful overtaking.
Of course.
In England, but I just love Alfas. Once you get hooked, you are hooked. I had a Alfa Sud in the beginning, then I had a Sprint, but I've always loved the GT Juniors. So.
Yeah, it's a pretty car, isn't it?
I'll never sell her.
Okay, well, thank you for speaking to us, Gordon. Thank you very much.
No
for your
worries.
time.
No worries. Thanks.
Yeah, now these also had a relatively long life. GTV, I think the predecessor to this, I think previously they were called Alfetta or Alfetta GTV. I think ultimately they just became called GTV. They lost the chrome bumpers and picked up the more sort of impact bumpers here. Pretty cars as well, aren't they? Not sure if that one's open. It's a left-hand drive car, so I suspect it's come from warmer climes. Now, one of my personal favourites is the Alfa Sud. This is a later facelifted car coming to the end of the life of the Sud. Don't forget the Sud was launched back in '72, and this looks like it's an '82 car. It's the TI, it's the 2-door, so it's got the bigger plastic bumpers, it's got the rear spoiler, got the cloverleaf there. Hopefully we'll see an earlier car as well. There's something about the Alfa Sud, and probably at one stage of my life I'd love to own one of these again. But for now, I'll just have to look. So I'm going to talk to Rob about this Alfa Sud Super. I thought mistakenly it was a 5M, but it's a Super. I'm not sure what the differences are, Rob, but maybe you can tell me about this car.
Well, it's a Super, which is a Series 2.
Right.
And I think you'll find the 5Ms were Series 1s.
Okay.
But other than that, they're pretty similar.
And you've had it quite a while?
Had it about 15 years.
Okay.
15 years, I think. So about that.
And do you use it a daily drive?
No, it doesn't go out that often really. It just it's garaged, and I've got a Giulietta that I use every day.
So based on a 70s Spider, this is an Alfa Romeo Zagato bodied Spider. You can see the owner's just shown me underneath literally where the old Zagato guys took the angle grinder to it to get the shape. There are about 250 of these worldwide. That makes it such a rare car. Apparently it's a lot of fun to drive. Getting hold of some of the parts is a bit of a challenge. Certainly the more bespoke Zagato parts. It's got a lovely shape to it, hasn't it? So the first owner of this car traded an MGB in, and he bought himself a brand new Alfa Romeo 1750 Spider. That looked like a very wise decision, I have to say. Not sure how many owners it's had from new. One of the first cars, not the later camtail cars as they're so called. In fact, for reference, You've got a very late iteration of the Spider next to it as well. So this is a 1965 Alfa Romeo 2600 Roadster with styling by Touring of Milan, and again demonstrating how good the combination of the styling houses and the Italian manufacturers were at this period. It's a pretty car, it's got absolutely pretty lines. You can see the sort of impact of the Farina styling that was dominating the industry in those days. Just look at those back lights, for example. What do they remind you of? So what is a Peugeot 504 estate doing at an Italian car event? Well, Bianchi is an Italian bike company, and Campagnolo supply the gears, and this would have been a support car for the Tour de France. But the reason it's not an Italian car is that due to sponsorship reasons, for about 3 years in the 70s, all teams were forced to use Peugeot 504 estates. Marvellous, isn't it? So this particular car has been recreated. There's a sister car to this, a Mercedes W123 that you might have seen on a recent video, and we filmed that very recently. What a fantastic recreation based on the South African car. The colour, the exterior colour of the car is original. It's just the graphics that have been added, and you can see it's worn very well. It's got those fantastic 3 rows of seats that everybody appreciated as kids. Now this is an unusual look, isn't it? It's a Lamborghini 400 GT. So this must be one of the first cars that Ferruccio Lamborghini made, switching his focus from tractors to sports cars, and he came up with this because he was pretty dissatisfied with the Ferrari that he bought and the after-sales service, believe it or not. And this is what he managed to churn out on his own. Well, he didn't do a bad job at all, did he, guys? And that's the styling and what would evolve into the Lamborghini we know now. So this is arguably the forerunner of the modern MPV. It's a Fiat 600. It's got a lot of room in it. You can see the sort of Fiat 500 influence styling. What an unusual shape it is, isn't it? It looks like it's the wrong way round. That looks like the front and the other looks like the back. Let's have a quick look, see if we can have a look inside. Well, it's no shortage of room in there, and your feet are going to be pretty much near the front of the car by the look of it. So apparently all of the Alfa Giulias didn't get binned on the Italian job. A few managed to survive. It might have seemed like that at the time. This is a lovely, so it says it's a 52 plated car, which clearly it's not. So it's probably an import, I suspect. You cannot mistake that styling for anything else, can you, on these? Really advanced sporty saloon of its time, and this is just a 1300, or it's a Super 1300 to be precise. So a couple of examples of the multi WRC winning Lancia Delta Integrale. Is this one? I think the Ferrari call this probably Jello Fly, this yellow, and this is an unusual colour. Now I don't know what this colour is. If you do know, please stick that in the comments. I've never seen one in that colour before. They're normally in the reds and occasionally the whites, but that is a very pretty car, especially with that light coloured leather interior. In fact, I'll take both of them. So if you fancy a spot of tea, what a great place to take a rest in this Fiat 238 camper van. It's converted by Weinberg of Germany and then imported into the UK. It's quite a long van actually. I'm not sure what the year is. Got the high top roof in there. Great to see some of these camper vans here today. I've seen a couple, and I can't imagine that you're going to see another Fiat 238. It's a 1978 one. You're certainly going to see another one on the roads anytime soon, are you? That's lovely. So thanks for joining me again on Lot 76 Cars, this time at Auto Italia, the Italian car day at Brooklands. Hope you've enjoyed the owner interviews we've had. Hope you've enjoyed seeing the massive range of cars on display here today. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Right.